This is going to be a little bit of an outlook, start of April. We've had a few things happen, mostly stuff that I've kind of, I don't want to say predicted, but envisioned developing based on just the movement of the market in general, right? So coming into the week, coming into the quarter, my ideology, I think I made a video on Sunday or Monday, I think Monday, was kind of that we'll see a reversion. It'll happen. We'll see a move into the April expiration, a VIX crush, and then a reshort opportunity when all those bulls, those late bulls get trapped, and these late bears get smoked, along with the early bulls and the early bears. And this happened a little bit extensively aggressive compared to what I envisioned, right? So coming into the week, we put in a really ugly weekly candle and a little bit of an ugly weekly look and an ugly weekly close or monthly closure as well, the highest since March of 2023, when we had like a bank crisis. But what happened here is we see obviously the kind of capitulatory gap down, a Monday in Wall that's faded, the lows taken out, the intraday price action really bullish though, and it's more or less just kind of awaiting a news event. And also the March 31st JPM collar and the quarterly expiration being very pivotal in terms of unwinding the hedges and the positions that pin the market and allow for that kind of freedom of movement following the expirations. But the way this happened, and I do like to say the market's not going to bottom on a Friday most of the time. Right? You're not going to have that falling knife be caught over the weekend. But we see a really aggressive 3% session on Tuesday, right? Gap up, absorb this gap, we rally off news, and we continue to float into yesterday's session where we get a little bit of a weaker close beneath this Thursday, March 26th bear gap. And kind of right off that 655 spot that's very, very pivotal. And all that leads into is a gap down that's now bidding the progression gap from last Friday. And we have seen a very strong move come off of that and potentially a strong closure if we can close above the overnight sessions gap. Now, the thing is, I didn't expect to get like a 5% rally like this very quick within, 2 sessions from peak to trough. We haven't even had the April flows yet. They come in next week. And this 655 and 589 spot, a very similar look on QQQ, bid the gap, break into the overnight session. It's actually a very good long if you wanted to take it right into the overnight sessions gap and just monitor the behavior afterwards. But this is kind of, we fill this bear gap from Thursday, right? This is kind of what I envisioned was going to develop, and it happened a little bit aggressively. And this was a little bit reminiscent of last March and April, but I don't think it's going to develop quite so similar. Just because of the fact that we are about to approach April flows. But for me, it's a little bit speculative. I think I'm going to wait for more of the timing aspect. Now, this is a pretty pivotal range within this area that could be kind of a lower high on Qs. I think I'm going to wait more for a timing aspect to really open up. I don't think that jumping the gun here is necessarily smart. We could see 671 and we could see 600 flat. Would not be opposed to that. Right, I would not be opposed to that leading into the April flows, or leading into the April expiration, right, where we can see the short side become vulnerable. We can see VIX trade sub 20 again, hopefully soon, and it's all a little bit more ideal, right? I think it's a product of price, not time, and so that's my main focus, right? We obviously have XLF hasn't really gotten where I wanted it to quite yet for the short. I wanted that 51 spot, that previous little floor that we broke down under, and then a bear gap fill as well. XLP and XLV still look phenomenal. Hopefully we have some good weekly closures on these candles. And XLK looks very weak. SMH looks very weak. USO with another big pop today. But I do think that this is going to begin like a distributive cycle. Monthly close is insane. It's horrendous that I didn't really position myself in this. 150% on the monthly closure, up 100% of the year. But, it's one of those things. I do think that the tape is going to flip. This is not going to continue higher like it is. XLE and a lot of individuals, energy names are already showing a little bit of a weakness in terms of finally the structure kind of teetering on out, right? Like, I think that's going to develop soon. I think we're going to continue to get a little bit of a reversion. My favorite name is definitely, well, we had a really good short on AMD in the overnight gap from yesterday. NVDA still looks really weak, and this is a name that I am looking to position back short again for a retest of the Q1 2025 highs. mainly just because those haven't even been retested. But I think it's more of a timing thing. I genuinely do. Meta with the reversion, that's actually pretty nice, honestly. But I'm still long Microsoft via MSFU, looking for like a 400 push. This is a really clean chart and a really clean higher low we find off of the gap from April that we broke down under and now reclaimed on a potential daily closure and a good weekly look. I'm still long that. I'm still on LLY. I think I'm down a couple percent, but this was a really clean pop right up to 0.5. Need to reclaim that 966 spot, and then I think we easily have new highs in the table. I'm not going to cut any yet. PEP looks really clean. You know, this is like a previous floor that was broke down and turned into resistance. We see kind of our preliminary supply, our climax, our reaction, find our high or low, and find a break above the creek. And then once we can reclaim that 156 to 158 spot, that should spark a move to new highs in this break of structure. Hertz looks nice. I just have this on here. You could buy comments on here if you're ballsy. This is a little speculative though. This is kind of a risky move. JD looks good, but that's like an options position or a longer term comments trade. MU has a lot of volume being put in right here, like a significant amount of volume at the highs in this general structure. I think this is a distribution that's going to trade us back down to sub 200 soon, but I have no exposure to that. Nike, I still think this is an accumulation. I think honestly, the more that this develops, the more confident I would be in this trading to $100. Like our preliminary support, our climax, we have a nice reaction. We have a potential spring here underneath the 2015 lows, but I wouldn't be super aggressively positioned unless you're like a long-term buyer here. UNH, I'd like those lows taken out. Lulu, I think Lulu can do something good. Trade to 300-ish if you take out the COVID lows, just the volume and the structure down here. Path potentially reclaiming the COVID lows, or not the COVID lows, the 2022 previous all-time lows, but this just hasn't developed quite yet. So for me, it's really the same thing, right? All I want here to be put in is a rally, maybe to 671, maybe to 600, hopefully to 51. VIX crush timing aspect where April expiration is put in, right? So we get the breakdown, we get the fear, we get the VIX spike, we get the rally, we get the flows, and we get kind of the you know, oh, everybody's buying. Those late bear or early bears are getting trapped. Those late bears that sold or bought puts down here having to buy back, and then we see the flows leave, we see the expiration, we see the discount, we maybe see some, you know, bullish news, and then we can get short on ideally XLF June puts targeting 45 to 47. Or QQQ and SPY puts, right? And you know, you can short this without buying longer dated, just taking intraday positions as well. But I do think that we target this gap, that we target, I would like to say 613, a Q1 2025 highs retest, and 540, a Q1 2025 retest within Q2, right? We just started Q2. I think the first third of Q2, maybe like the first sixth to a first third of Q2 is going to be a reversion. And then the back half of it is going to be a breakdown to take out these lows and retest the highs, where we're probably going to see, you know, another reversion into a lower high and then a breakdown into this gap from June. So that's kind of what I would envision, right? Where we can see this push, we can see this breakdown to retest the highs, we can see another subsequent lower high. Maybe this time it is off 655 for like a minor, like this can be our LPSY. We can put in a minor sign of weakness following the break of structure. Off of the previous all-time high bounce, and then we can short it in these gaps from June. So not much else to say. Like, there's not much. I have 4 names that I'm watching: NVIDIA shorts, XLF shorts, LLY longs, and Microsoft reversion. And that's all I'm positioning it in currently.